Here we go. Okay, we should be live. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. Okay, so today we're talking about Bishop Lamor Whitehead. All right, this guy has been in the news for a minute. I've been following him on and off. All right, I thought about making a video about the guy before, but I was like, you know what? It's probably not that necessary. But now I think that it is. Okay, so we're gonna dedicate this whole live to going through a series of events regarding this guy. Okay, that's really, really crazy. You be the judge. There are people that are on his side saying he's just falsely accused. There are people that are saying they know he's a con artist. You be the judge. Okay, you guys will find out. Okay, as we pull these videos up and look at this stuff. All right, so let us get into this. Let me turn my music down. Y'all watching for the first time, we are Unpackin Glory with your boy Brova Winston. All right, let me pull this first video up right here. We're gonna turn music down. Bam. We're gonna pull this first video up. All right, I'm gonna share this live also on my Facebook page real quick. We're gonna get into this. Let me know if you're watching live. Make sure that y'all let me know in the comment section if you're watching live and how y'all feel about this. Okay, this is gonna be an interesting one. If you want to call in, we got the call-in number 267-603-1674, 267-603-1674. Let me share this real quick. All right. Okay, here we go. I just shared this live. All right, let's get into this, y'all. Now, this is the first video. We're going to go in sequence, okay, from what we know about Bishop Whitehead, okay? So let's pull this first one up here. Okay, let's go. Man, this is from, I think, a year or two ago.
Yo. All right. Yo, all right.
More than $1 million worth of jewelry stolen, all while a renowned Brooklyn bishop presented his Sunday sermon.
They took all of my wife's jewelry and took all of my jewelry, and then they left. However, these young men didn't know that cameras were on.
The leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries live streams its services, and last Sunday was no different. As Bishop Lamor Miller Whitehead addressed his congregation, a group of masked gunmen interrupted.
Everybody stay still. Nobody move. Nobody move.
Whitehead detailed the incident on Instagram Live, captioning the video, "Yes, they robbed me in my church."
I want to see.
And when I seen the armed men, and when I seen the armed,
they robbed me in my church.
So, golly, can y'all stop? It's going quick. Oh, here we go. Okay, we got here in his comments. Thank you, Lord, for sparing the lives of these people. Bishop Whitehead saying, "Yes, they robbed me in my church." Another person says, "And a whole lot of ministries in the mighty name of Jesus." So they're okay. I thought he was replying to somebody else. God don't sleep. Your blessings are more than just material items. You'll be blessed tenfold. God is always good. Prayers up. Okay. So this is how people are responding, seeing this man being robbed in his church. Okay.
Yes, they robbed me in my church.
I'm saying this. I want y'all to think, well, that, like if you're of the persuasion that this guy is scamming, I don't want you to think that everyone just knows what's going on. Everybody doesn't just know what's going on if that's what you believe in, okay?
Church.
And when I seen the armed men come in, it was specifically for me. It was specifically for me and of course my wife. And when I seen them come into the sanctuary with their guns, I told everybody, get out. Everybody just get out.
Whitehead says 3 people armed and wearing all black interrupted the Sunday sermon. He says one of the suspects pointed a gun at his 8-month-old daughter's face. At the same time, all of his wife's jewelry was taken. After that, his jewelry was also stolen.
Come on.
See, I'm looking at this because, I personally don't believe this. But we're going to give everyone a fair shot, okay? It's innocent until proven guilty. I don't believe, you'll see why if you don't have never heard this guy, you'll see what I'm talking about, okay? But I don't believe the story that, even this story right here, though this can happen, it has happened, I don't believe in this instance that it's as he says it is, okay? But let's continue to play this video.
Whitehead said he chased the suspects out of the church where they hopped into a white Mercedes-Benz vehicle. At the time, about 25 congregants were present. Whitehead now says churchgoers are traumatized.
Right, everybody get out. I didn't know if they wanted to shoot the church up or if they were just coming for a robbery.
The bishop, known for wearing designer outfits and flashy jewelry, says he and his family were specifically targeted.
Let's look at those comments right quick. This is another, now this is him, I think that's a Louis Vuitton some suit. Now they call him another name for him is the Bling, I think it's like the Bling pastor or Bling bishop or something like that. Okay, that's not something I'm making up, that's what people have been calling him. All right, also on Instagram, the guy, we're going to probably pull his Instagram up. He has like over 1 million followers. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. If you have 1 million followers, you can do that. That's great. All right, but I just want to say that also, okay? So that you don't think that it's just being blown out of proportion. This guy does not have a following. He absolutely does, okay? He's posting here, come out to church, happy Father's Day. And guess what he's trying to say, happy Father's, okay? Happy Father's Day. This person says, instead of helping his community, he buys luxury cars and designer coats. This person says, no wonder you was robbed. How you rolling around in Rolls Royce when the monthly car note on that could be redistributed to feeding some families. Next person says, he sells drugs in the back of the church for sure. Okay. Now, this is his Instagram page, all right? All those people seem to be thinking that he's not telling the truth. But let's continue to see what they talk about.
You know, sometimes, you know, when you are a known bishop, you know, it's a gift and a curse. When you have somewhat of a celebrity status, it is a gift and a curse. You know, you become the talk of the town.
The New York Police Department received a report on the incident and says the investigation is still ongoing.
Now to an update on a suspect wanted for robbing a bishop in Brooklyn. U.S. Marshal.
And that was like a year ago. This is like a month ago, okay? This is now news from a month ago.
Now to an update on a suspect wanted for robbing a bishop in Brooklyn. U.S. Marshals attempting to arrest that suspect shot and killed him at a South Brunswick motel. Today, Bishop Lamor Whitehead and a witness returned to the scene of last night's shooting at MHO Inn and Suites. Officers shot and killed 41-year-old Shamar Leggett while trying to arrest him. Authorities say Leggett fired first, forcing them to shoot back. Leggett was one of 3 men accused of robbing Bishop Whitehead at Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministry in Brooklyn in 2022.
I'm still dealing with the traumatic experience, but you know, when you're a pastor, you're the leader. I give full condolences to his family, and if he have children, you know, because I've forgiven him.
I heard gunshots from the office. I've never experienced anything like this in my entire life. It was the scariest thing.
No officers were hurt during the shootout. As for the robbery, 2 other suspects were previously charged.
Okay, so this is one of the guys that was involved in the robbery. He died. Okay, he was shot by the cops. All right. But let's go back here. I just noticed something real quick. Now, this is when a robbery is taking place. Look at this guy sitting down here. I just want to look at this guy. I want to see, is he a robber or is he part of the...
Like it was...
Okay, this guy look like this dude right here that's sitting down to the left, right? This guy looks super calm, in my opinion. I mean, just super calm. Look at this guy.
Them to shoot back. Like it was one of 3 men accused of robbing Bishop White.
My man, he just sitting there looking like, okay. Like I said, in my opinion, I feel like this is just a scam. I wonder if he was told, listen, brother, you know, today is the day we're gonna do, we're gonna do the insurance scam, because I think what happened was that Bishop Lamor, he needed some money, and for whatever reason, he needed some money, and he had these guys come and stage a robbery so that he could basically claim, and this is a real thing people do from time to time, claim that he had certain jewelry and that was worth, over $1 million, and then through insurance, because he had the stuff insured, he could then get that actual money. Let me say, how can somebody do that? Well, the way that you do that is you basically, have certain jewelers, okay, you have to, of course, be in cahoots with them to do this, okay? But you have certain jewelers basically write up false. Though I think that they've kind of tightened things on this to a certain degree now, because this used to happen a lot, I heard. But basically what you would do is you would have certain jewelers write up false receipts, okay, for jewelry that you don't actually have. That is then insured, and after it's insured, you know, when something like this happens, or like in this instance, it's televised. Okay, it's televised. Well, their church was not it was broadcast, I should say. I don't know if they were on TV, but it was broadcast. Okay, their church service. Nothing wrong with that, but it was broadcast. But if he's running a scam, it makes sense. Okay, well, let's do this while we're broadcasting. That way everyone can see it, and this can be presented to. It could be even national news. Then the insurance company will have to give me the money for the jewelry because they can clearly see that I was robbed. All right. In my opinion, when you look at this other evidence, you'll be like, I don't know about that, but we'll see. Let's continue.
Whitehead at Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministry in Brooklyn.
So that's him. That's his feet right there, you know, on the ground. All right. Let me go back real quick. I just want to look at this one more time. Hold up. My fault, y'all. Where are we at? Is this the first video? Okay. All right. Yeah, this is the first video. Okay, here we go. Let me look at this real quick.
It was.
I want to see the video where he's first supposedly being robbed. I want to see how he reacts here. Here we go.
Tomorrow International Ministries live streams its services, and last Sunday was no different. As Bishop Lamor Whitehead addressed his congregation, a group of masked gunmen interrupted.
Everybody stay still. Nobody move. Nobody move.
Whitehead detailed the incident.
So he's saying everybody stands so nobody move. My man just sitting down just like as calm as can be. Now he may just be a calm person. Let's say that's the case, okay? But still, I mean, you
on Instagram Live, captioning the video, "Yes, they robbed me in my church."
And when I seen the armed men come in, you know, it was specifically for me.
See, because
it was specifically for me and of course my wife. And when I see them come into the sanctuary with their guns, I told everybody, get down. Everybody.
See, that's another thing he said. Like, he was like, I knew they were coming for me. I'm like, how do you know that? You know what I mean? How do you know they were specifically coming for you? Like, somebody may say, well, because he rides around and rolls worse and this and that. Really, you still don't know that. They could have been coming there to pull somebody out of church that they had a problem with. It could have been anything. You know what I mean? And now, as for the other guy, I'm not trying to say he was complicit, but that reaction, I can't help but say that that's definitely weird, okay?
I just get out.
Whitehead says
makes me wonder if maybe they got saw Bishop do some scammy stuff before and he just expected something like this. I don't know. It just seems kind of odd the way you wouldn't even move a little bit.
3 people armed and wearing all black interrupted the Sunday sermon. He says one of the suspects pointed a gun at his 8-month-old daughter's face. At the same time, all of his wife's jewelry was taken. After that, his jewelry was also stolen.
Sit down. Come on, Pastor.
Whitehead said he chased the suspects out of the church, where they hopped into a white Mercedes-Benz vehicle. At the time, about 25 congregants were present. Whitehead now says churchgoers are traumatized.
Okay, so let's stop this video. We're going to go to the next one. Like I said, there is a way to actually not have jewelry. Say that you have it. Have the receipts that are not from the real jewelry, and actually from that get paid out. Okay. Though, like I said, I think that the law has, and these insurance companies have figured out ways to make it harder than the way it used to be. Okay. And that's information that I got from a person that I heard who actually was involved with this type of stuff. Okay. And the guy was saying he used to, be involved with fraud, and he used to see people do this type of scam all the time. And when he looked at what Bishop Whitehead was talking about, he could clearly see that it was a scam. I won't pull that video up right now. I'll have to go search for that. I don't know where it is right now, but I truly believe that. Okay. And people doing something like that, insurance scams for years. Let's go on to the next video, y'all. I think it's this one right. Let me see here. Got so many videos pulled up here. It's this one. Here we go. Now, this is a video of someone going through the account of a lot of stuff in his life, maybe like 20 something minutes long. We're going to look through this video. Probably not, I don't know if we're going to watch the whole thing, but we're going to just go through it to see what's going on regarding this guy. And this is important because, of course, we are a Christian channel here. and I'm a minister of the Word of God myself. All right. So I'm not here to beat up on this man. But I do feel like, in my opinion, that he is scamming people. All right. And I truly don't understand the real reason why he's a pastor. I bet it could be that I would say this, I'm not sure. It's hard for me to tell. I'm not sure if he sees pastoring as anything but just a way to get money from folks. Seriously. I'll try to assume that about anyone that is a pastor. But when you look at what he has done, I wonder, maybe he started with a good heart and then he just went back to with his evil ways. I don't know. But you'll see here. Let's hit play here. You make up your own mind, okay?
Y'all think I want to? No, I have to follow my calling. Because let me tell y'all something of who Bishop Whitehead is, right? Let me tell you who Bishop Whitehead is. Bishop Whitehead is going to say it like he want to say it, and I'm going to tell it like it is. Because I ain't scared of none of y'all.
He dresses in designer suits, drives a Rolls Royce, and preaches regularly to his 1.5 million Instagram followers while referring to himself in third person. But he's not a wealthy businessman or influencer. In his own words, Bishop Whitehead is the GOAT when it comes to faith and ministry. Behind the rags to riches story he would have his followers believe is a skilled con man with a dark past. A past that includes using love to steal what police believed was millions of dollars, landing him in federal prison. But the bishop didn't leave prison a reformed man. His cons are still going on today, including on the most vulnerable of his congregation.
Confrontation during a Sunday sermon in Brooklyn landed 2 people behind bars, including a bishop who argues he was protecting his family.
This is the story of the scandalous life of the Brooklyn bishop, Lamor Whitehead. Before we begin, a quick note about the sponsor of this video, Care of. Care of is a subscription service that ships high-quality, personalized vitamins, supplements, and support. Lamor Whitehead was born in 1978 to a loving mother and father. But tragedy struck Lamor's life when he was only 6 weeks old, when his father was killed in a violent police altercation during a routine traffic stop. After that, Lamor and his siblings were raised by their mother. Despite the adversity, Lamor excelled at school and was a gifted athlete. When he graduated high school, he was offered scholarships to Shaw University, Farmingdale University, and Eastern New Mexico University. Eventually, Eastern New Mexico won out, and Lamor enrolled on accounting and videography courses.
It just looked funny. It just looked funny when that dog was looking at him, the dog on the right. He was looking at him like, what you about to do, Lamar?
In a violent police altercation during a routine traffic stop.
Also, this channel is called Not the Good Girl. Got to give people respect for the folks who have brought us this information today. Not the Good Girl is the name of this YouTube channel.
After that, Lamor and his siblings were raised by their mother. Despite the adversity, Lamor excelled at school and was a gifted athlete. When he graduated high school, he was offered scholarships to Shaw University, Farmingdale University, and Eastern New Mexico University. Eventually, Eastern New Mexico won out, and Lamor enrolled on accounting and videography courses. After returning to New York, Lamor...
I can relate. I'm a videographer, okay, graphic designer, artist, doing that for many years, so I can relate to that. All right, but I don't think that he went into that. I think he went into, let's see what he went into here.
Opened his own business as a mortgage broker. It was around this time he claimed he felt an awakening to his true purpose. That purpose was ministry, and he enrolled in further studies at the New York Theological Seminary.
See, that's why, to me, this is important to say this because there are a lot of pastors and bishops who are really commenting that, I mean, seriously, this guy, in my opinion, if I'm right about who he is, that he's kind of people. He's on a more extreme side, but he went. You don't have to go to any kind of seminary to be a pastor. Number one, you don't have to go to any kind of school. It's not like you're a lawyer, okay? Nor in the Bible does it say you have to go to some kind of law school, or some kind of Bible school to become a pastor. So he didn't really have to do this though, but he did. Okay, he had to pay for this, so I'm assuming he paid for it. So it drives me to believe that initially, he wanted to do the right thing. He did want to be a pastor, not necessarily to take advantage of people. I could be wrong, but it just makes me, I'm trying to figure out where he is in his mind with all this. Okay.
He completed a certificate in Ministry and Human Services from the Theological Institution of Rising Hope, Inc., an accredited institution. After finishing his studies, he became a licensed New York State chaplain and a certified marriage and funeral officiant. So far, Lamor's story sounds like that of an intelligent man who felt called to serve a higher purpose.
Also, I want to say, even though I may say things like, I think that he's scamming this and that, I wish no harm on Pastor Lamor, Bishop Lamor. I wish only the best for this guy at the end of the day, that's for sure, okay? I wish no harm on any black brother especially, okay? But I do pray and hope that if he's a scamming, that he stops that, okay? Because I believe that he's scamming and that he feels that he has to just keep on doing this stuff until he can ride the wave out. You know what I mean? I feel like, look, if you done something you know is wrong, where you're scamming people, just say that you did that. Okay, be right, because that's what God says to do. You'll see what I'm talking about, y'all. But I just feel like it's just hard. That's what you should do for sure if you are involved in any kind of impropriety like this. Okay, but let's continue. You be the judge, y'all. Y'all could be the judge here about what's really going on. Okay, because what's going on with him is not just involving him; it's involving a lot of folks. Okay, and it actually affects the church as a whole. Okay, believe it or not, because it's being reported on many outlets about what he's doing, and he is in the church. Okay.
He had overcome the trials of his childhood and the challenges of the community where he was raised, and he wanted to inspire those who are struggling and show them a path to redemption through his God. But behind the facade, Lamor was using his talents for something much more sinister. In 2005, a woman in the New York County of Suffolk reported that her name had been fraudulently used to buy a motorcycle. It only took a couple of days for police to spot the motorcycle, and when they pulled it over, the driver identified himself as Lamor Whitehead.
So these are amazing.
Wow.
Let me get past this ad real fast.
Investigators looked a little closer at Lamor and the apparent identity theft of the woman. They were able to connect the events to a string of other similar cases. Starting in 2004, officers in the same New York County of Suffolk had received complaints from multiple residents who claimed their identities had been stolen.
They use their stock footage. I didn't see that so many times. My fault, yo. I just had to laugh at that.
All of the reports had one thing in common. The stolen identities had been used to secure financing for the purchase of vehicles, many of them Range Rovers and motorbikes. As the number of victims began to grow, the police department determined there was more than one person involved. So they established a theft investigation unit in the hopes of tracking down the perpetrators. While it wasn't always the same person who used the stolen identity, the investigation revealed that one lead person was behind the scheme, Lamor Whitehead. This is how the scheme went down. During the years the identity theft was taking place, Lamor was dating a woman who worked at a Long Island car dealership. Part of her job was running credit reports on customers who needed financing in order to buy a vehicle. To do so, she had access to almost all of the customers' personal information, including their social security numbers, bank accounts, credit history, and home addresses. Lamor's girlfriend kept the login details for her work computer sitting on her desk at home. And while showering her with compliments, gifts, and nice dinners, Lamor was secretly using her login info to access the customer's personal information and take out loans and lines of credit in their names. Lamor used the loans to buy nice cars and motorbikes, as well as to deck himself out in designer threads and jewelry. Overnight, Lamor had gone from a humble, Brooklyn-born and raised chaplain to a high roller who splurged on gifts and gadgets. He put his wealth down to his success as a mortgage broker, But identity theft wasn't the only scam Lamor was.
Yeah, because the thing is, he had an actual job, like a regular job. You know what I mean? He was a mortgage broker. That's his actual job. You know, now somebody may say, well, he had to keep up the appearance of money because of the kind of work that he was in. All right. But was he convicted on these charges? Let's see.
Running. He was still working as a mortgage broker when he realized that not only did he have access to easy targets through his girlfriend, he was sitting on a goldmine of personal information himself. His job meant that he had access to the same information about each of his clients as well. He knew exactly what they were worth, and he knew exactly how much more they could borrow. Armed with this knowledge, Lamor reached out to one of the clients he previously helped secure a mortgage for and made him a proposal, telling him, quote, "You give me $200,000 and I will give you back $225,000 in 30 days. It sounded like easy money, and
now that's the same thing that guy was saying. I think his name is if y'all remember the guy, I think I did a video with him. The guy, I think his name was well, not DJ Envy. The guy, I know his name was Caesar. It's this guy named Caesar Pena, I believe his name is, and he was working with the New York radio DJ Envy. He was on that show, The Breakfast Club. Okay, he was telling people the same thing. He was doing basically like a real estate scheme. Okay, my opinion for sure. And a lot of people have said this, and you can see that he told a lot of folks, listen, you give me this certain money, I'll flip this property, do this to the property within 30 days. He would actually tell him a certain amount of time. I'll give you money back with interest. He's on the radio. He was on national radio and everything like that. People say, well, if you're on national radio over and over, I mean, he wasn't just on the radio one time. He was on the radio a lot of times, on that show a lot of times, because he was a business partner with DJ Envy. And he had him on a lot. And so people gave him money, feeling like, well, it's a safe thing to do. And they lost their money. Okay. So here it is. This guy is saying, look, I'm going to get you, flip this money, give me 200, I'm going to give you 225. It's going to be like a breeze. Okay. And so the guy was like, well, okay. And you're a man of faith. All right, I'll do that. As people say, I'll do that.
client had already been impressed by Lamor when they worked on the mortgage deal. He trusted him. So the client agreed to the arrangement and took out a $200,000 loan against the home he had just purchased.
Right, because he helped him get a home already. All right. So it's like, well, yeah, I trust the guy.
He didn't tell his family about the arrangement as he wanted to surprise them with a special gift when the $25,000 came through. It will come as no surprise that 30 days came and went without the original loan or the agreed interest being paid. One day in 2006, 26-year-old Lamor was driving a stolen Land Rover down River.
What's going on, Sister Llewellyn? Thanks for tuning in. You all just tuning in. We talk once again about Bishop Lamor Whitehead, a man surrounding his scandal. We're here to look and see if this is true or not. I believe it is, but you be the judge, y'all. Let's look into this. And if you are of the church, this definitely has something to do with us. Okay, let's hit play and get back into this.
$100,000 loan against the home he had just purchased.
All right.
He didn't tell his family about the arrangement as he wanted to surprise them with a special gift when the $25,000 came through. It will come as no surprise that 30 days came and went without the original loan or the agreed interest being paid. One day in 2006, 26-year-old Lamor was driving a stolen Land Rover down Riverside Drive in Manhattan when police lights appeared in his rearview mirror. After pulling over, he was quickly surrounded by officers, many who made up the theft investigation unit established 1 year prior, and he was arrested on multiple charges of identity theft. Suffolk Detective Sergeant Stephen Jensen described Lamor's outfit at the time as a pimp-style red and white mink coat. After the arrest, police searched Lamor's $500,000 home. Officers found multiple laptops, cell phones, a stolen weapon, and a bulletproof vest, all of which they believed were tools Lamor used to carry out his crimes.
Okay, so we got here a bunch of evidence that seems to show for sure that this guy was complicit with this, that he did it. Okay, that's for sure. All right, they said they found a bulletproof vest, a bunch of laptops, all this kind of stuff, okay, to scam folks. So let's see what happens to him now.
Subsequently charged with illegal possession of a firearm. Police searched Lamor's $500,000 home. Officers found multiple laptops, cell phones, a stolen weapon, and a bulletproof vest, all of which they believed were tools Lamor used to carry out his crimes. He was subsequently charged with illegal possession of a firearm. But the identity theft and firearms charges were merely a speed bump on Lamor's road to riches. Despite the indictment, Lamor was released on $90,000 bail and set free to do as he pleased. And it pleased him to keep on scheming. That was until 2008, when he was finally taken into custody to stand trial. By then, he had been charged with 10 counts of identity fraud relating to more than $500,000 worth of loans. Ultimately, Lamor was convicted on 17 counts of identity theft and sentenced to 10 to 30 years in prison. As other victims came forward, the prosecutor in the case later stated they believed Lamor's fraud could total more than $2 million. But after spending less than 6 years behind bars and being described as an ideal inmate, Lamor Whitehead was released from prison in 2013, and the bishop was just getting started.
It's like a Netflix special.
I have a calling, and I had to do what I had to do. As soon as I came home, it was on. These were the words of the bishop who was newly released from prison and promising redemption. Only weeks after leaving prison, Lamor set up his own church called the Leaders of Tomorrow Ministries. His congregation started with 43 worshipers who...
So, I'm not just have a small church, okay? Our church is small. Now, looking at this, okay, the guy comes out of prison. You look at it like, well, that's good. You came out. You got a chance to reform. Now is your time to do that. Show the world that, listen, you're a changed person. You just want to go to straight and narrow. You don't want to be trying to scam folks. I mean, basically, he got locked up for what he did. A lot of, like, I know people, for example, and I'm not going to name them. I know people who've done much less than him. Okay, much less than him. They received 10 years. All right, 15 years, much less than him. Okay, this guy scam people in the range of $2 million. All right. And it's not a small thing. It's not a small thing when you check your bank account and your bank account is in the negative by thousands of dollars. Because and then you find out that this guy is driving around in a motorcycle or in a nice car with the money that he took out your account. Okay. And he's done it in such a way that it'll be very difficult for you to even know that he's the one that has done it. And he's online, saying, look at me, look what I got. And he's wearing Fendi and all this kind of stuff and different types of designer wear. And you're trying to figure out how you're calling, your landlord and whoever saying, look, I'm trying to get the money and this and that, you know what I mean? And give me another month. While he lived literally in a mansion. Okay. For him to get 6 years, I don't know if the guy helped him out or however he got out, but he had a chance right there at this point to do the right thing. Okay.
Came to his home to hear his inspiring sermons about rising up from where you came from and Tomorrow Ministries. His congregation started with 43 worshipers who came to his home to hear his inspiring sermons about rising up from where you came from.
Okay, so you had a house church at first. Okay.
And achieving financial success through God's power. Lamor's form of preaching has been referred to as the prosperity gospel, which emphasizes the material benefits one can achieve through a relationship with God. Whereas other forms of Christianity preach humility and giving what you have to help others, Lamor preached about proudly demonstrating your affluence as a means to attract others to God. In this one aspect, Lamor practiced what he preached. He would stand at the front of his congregation wearing tailored designer suits with chains of gold and diamonds hanging from his neck. He had a garage full of various high-powered luxury and sports cars. So where did the money come from? Lamor got it exactly where any self-respecting, designer-wearing prophet would get it: his congregation. Well, some of it. At the end of each sermon, Lamor would hold up a stack of empty envelopes and invite his followers to bid on an envelope to the value they wanted to sow. He told them that the more they sowed, the more they would reap in return. Whether it was $50, $500, or $5,000, there seemed to be no shortage of people willing to donate to his fund. But even if every one of the 43 members in his church gave him an envelope full of cash, his clothing and lifestyle far exceeded the amount he was being given. One Gucci or Louis Vuitton suit with matching shoes can easily cost $10,000, and that doesn't account for the jewelry or the cars. So where did he earn the rest of the cash to fund his lifestyle? In early 2020, 56-year-old Pauline Anderson had the misfortune to cross paths with Bishop.
I wonder, I just want to stop this real quick to say, I wonder what he was doing at this point. Was he doing the mortgage stuff again? Or is he just a pastor? All right. Because if he was just a pastor and he had such a small congregation and he was bringing in that kind of money, that would have been very stupid for him to not have thought that the cops would have suspected something. All right, to be walking around like that. So I will say that there's a lot of people. On the other hand, there's a lot of people online on Instagram flaunting and flashing stuff. It is maybe not real. They're saying they're on a jet or a private jet, excuse me, and they're really just on one of those sets that they had. You could take pictures that makes it appear like you're on a private jet or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, the guy literally has Rolls Royces and cars that can't be fake. He literally has this stuff, and people are seeing that. So, a lot of people look at this and say, okay, well, the reason why he's a pastor is because it's a cover. That's the reason why he's a pastor. Simple as that. It's just a cover for what he's really doing. All right, so let's see.
Lamor Whitehead. When she attended one of Lamor's sermons, she saw a well-dressed, wealthy pastor tell the congregation how they could and should get rich through God and him. 4 months after joining the church, Pauline underwent a major surgery and received a get-well-soon phone call from the pastor. Just a few months later, Pauline received another call from the man, and this time he wanted to talk about money. Had always wanted to buy herself a home for her and her family, but her credit score had taken some hits over the years, and she was turned down by every lender she approached. Despite having a deposit saved, she was never able to secure a loan. Enter her savior, Lamor Whitehead. Lamor told her about his experience with mortgage broking and offered her a solution to her credit problem. In exchange for her deposit, he would buy a home in her name through his company, Lamor Whitehead, Inc. Lamor assured...
Okay, so he has a company, Lamor Whitehead, Inc. All right. And he was in the real estate space, okay.
Pauline that her deposit would cover the house and any repairs it needed, and would also leave a little bit left over, which he would return to her with some interest. Pauline had no job after having surgery, and the deposit was everything she had to her name, including her retirement fund. Although Lamor had helped her son buy a home, she was still cautious of doing business with the bishop. To put her worries to rest, Lamor offered her a $100 monthly stipend, which he would pay until she moved into her new home. That promise did the trick, and on the 30th of November 2020, Pauline wrote a check to Lamor's business for $90,000.
That's not a lot. I mean, I gotta say that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's a shame when you see what happened. To her, but I don't know, let's continue. I mean, I'm just saying $100. You said, "I'm gonna give you $100 a month." That's nowhere near like for what he's trying to do and get from her.
For 6 months, Pauline never received a single $100 monthly stipend and heard nothing about her new home, despite constantly contacting Lamor for an update.
Let me go back. Make sure. I think this place she gave him the money. My fault.
Every time she did money, Pauline wrote a check to Lamor's business for $90,000. For 6 months, Pauline never received a single $100 monthly stipend and heard nothing about her new home despite constantly contacting Lamor for an update. Every time she did manage to get through to him, he would tell her he was too busy with his campaign running for Brooklyn Borough president.
Right, that's something that he was doing also recently. And it's kind of crazy because like people say if something seems to be too good to be true, it usually is. And it's a shame because, you know, when he did this to her, he didn't just rob her, but he also is casting a sheet of doubt and evil on black men, period. Because certain people believe that, you know, black men are con men and we always are trying to find ways to do something illegally. And that we're base individuals, human beings. That's why the news always shows us committing some kind of crime, when in actuality, the news actually just focuses on the worst of us. They don't show the worst of every race with the frequency at all that they show black men. It's not because black men are committing more crimes at all, you would think. It's actually because they target black men. Okay, remind us, this is USA, the same nation that had its slaves for 400-something years. They target us to push a narrative, which helps push everything else that they're doing, such as with the prison complex and all that kind of stuff, and that machine that they have going. It all works together. Him doing this, you know, in a bold-faced way, you know, it's unbelievable. When the Bible speaks about people like that, okay, they take advantage of women who are widows or don't have a man, don't have a husband, and they weasel their way into their house and then get all this stuff from them. This stuff is really slimy what he's doing here.
By mid-2021, Pauline suspected that there was never going to be any house. But she knew for sure this was the case when her son received an interesting email from Lamor.
Check this out.
Pauline had been introduced to Lamor by her son, Rashid. Rashid had supported his mom in investing in Lamor's company. But when he realized Pauline was being scammed, he was the one who attempted to convince Lamor to give the money back. Rashid repeatedly texted and emailed Lamor until one day he got a reply. But it wasn't the reply he expected. Lamor had accidentally sent an email regarding a down payment on a $4.5 million home in Saddle River to Rashid. The email outlined some details about the down payment on the home. The amount discussed would have been more than enough to repay his mother's investment. But when he told Lamor about the email and demanded that he return Pauline's money, he received a text from Lamor that said, quote, "I'm in awe of how..."
Good morning, Rashid. You are a liar, and I promise you God will deal with you. This is what he's saying here, okay? If you want to hire a lawyer, have them contact me. At this point, you are a liar and a deceiver. Nothing you have said is accurate, and you have a demon that that only God can deal with. Now watch God's judgment on your life. Okay, that's him also, LW. Psalms 105:15. 105:15.
How the devil is using you. However, I knew it was coming.
You are trying to make false documents by text. You will see how much God loves me. You're trying to make false documents. Now, mind you, after this happened, I want you to understand this man still being a pastor, still doing all of this stuff. Excuse me, for a while, for over a year, okay? I believe he's still a pastor right now. Actually, he is. He's still a pastor right now as I'm making this video. All right? I'll probably have church this Sunday. All right? You are trying to make false documents by text. You will see how much God loves me. You are a liar and a deceiver. I'm in awe of how the devil is using you. However, I knew it was coming. Now beware of the hand of judgment will hit your life and everything that's connected to you. I will also send you proof and bills from people that I hired months ago to start the process of investments. And for the record, anything that was given to me is a donation, unless it's attached to a contract. y'all see why I chose to do a live on this guy today, man. So anyway, let's continue. Let's start from the beginning, y'all. I will also send you proof and bills from people that I hired months ago to start the process of investments. And for the record, anything that was given to me is a donation unless it's attached to a contract. I was making investments. That's what I do, for the record.
A federal lawsuit was filed against Lamor Whitehead for his part in fleecing Pauline of her life savings. But it wasn't only Pauline that he had taken advantage of. The lawsuit also indicted Lamor on charges of using force to try and get a businessman to pay him $5,000. Lamor also attempted to get the same businessman to lend him $500,000 and give him a stake in high-end real estate transactions. When Lamor was asked for a statement about the lawsuit, he claimed that Pauline and Rashid were only going after him because of his celebrity status.
What if I told you we've helped thousands of multi-inspector companies shave time off their inspections and...
Starting to sound like Lamor there.
Everybody that tried to sue me because of my celebrity status is just going to keep going in and trying to do what they do. Lamor reiterated that he invested her money as agreed and that there was never an agreement to buy her a home. But we aren't at the strangest part of the story yet.
Right. Exactly, Jeremy. Exactly. Look at this part real quick. I want to show this, y'all.
Is just going to keep going in and trying to do what they do. Lamor reiterated that he invested her money as agreed and that there was never an agreement to buy.
He did invest her money. He invested her money, man, but the place he invested it was not where she thought it would go to. He invested it into his own bank account. That's what I think he's trying to really say here, like in a sideways. But I did invest it into my own bank account, okay? You wanted me to invest in it, that's what I did.
Buy her a home. But we aren't at the strangest part of the story yet. Call it...
You just gave me 90 grand because I'm just a good looking guy.
Karma, divine intervention, or...
Yeah, that you too, man. Thanks. Yeah, if y'all... I don't know if y'all can hear the Texas speech like before because I got these earphones, so it's somehow affecting that. I'll try to fix. I don't know what's going on, but he says, can't remember the passage, but says, do not fall to false ideals. If it isn't love, it's not God. You know, it's unfortunate because people are looking at, like, they're looking at this guy like he seems like he's a nice guy, you know, and the part that kind of gets me upset is the fact that, you know, despite all the bad press that us black men get, okay, people many times look past that and say not all black men are like that, which is the truth. Not all black men are committing crimes. You know, not all white men are, you know, like Bernie Madoff. You know, not all black men are like whoever, not all white women are like whoever, you know, so and so with every race, okay? But so to see him fit that and far exceed that stereotype, it just is very unfortunate, to say the least. Pull this up a little bit, this chat up. All right, let's get back into this, y'all.
Or just bad luck. But Pauline's lawsuit may never have made it into headlines if it wasn't for the day that Bishop Whitehead was robbed while in the middle of preaching a sermon.
Back to that robbery.
Lamor's history of shady dealings and the true source of his abundant wealth might never have been known if it hadn't been for the events of July 24th, 2022. On that day, Lamor rolled up to his service in a Rolls Royce, one of his favorite vehicles. He stood in front of the congregation wearing a maroon velvet robe with gold cuffs, designer loafers, rings on most of his fingers, and a thick gold chain around his neck. His sermon was being live streamed, and he opened with the line, quote, "How many of you have lost your faith because you saw somebody else die?" Only moments later, the live stream showed 3 people.
Let's go back real quick to what happened, what he actually says here, okay? This is another reason why I believe that he was lying, okay? Let's go back to this video. Where is it at? Okay, let's watch this.
Gunman interrupted.
Cameras were on.
The leaders of Tomorrow International worth of jewelry stolen, all while a renowned Brooklyn bishop presented his Sunday sermon.
They took all of my wife's jewelry and took all of my jewelry.
Bishop Lamor Whitehead interrupted.
I thought I had that video, but I don't. But basically, he says, you know, he says something in the beginning. Actually, it was not in the beginning of his sermon, I don't believe. It was actually near the middle of his sermon. It was like he didn't just immediately come up and start saying this. I mean, start talking. He didn't just come up and start talking. Immediately they came and started to rob him. But when he was robbed, the thing that he had said right before they came in my opinion, is so obvious that he's trying to set something up because of what he says. Also, it sounds like what he said was a phrase to tell them to basically come in. Okay, tell the guys to come in. I believe that he worked in cahoots with these guys. He paid them to supposedly rob him. Okay, that's why when they came in, he immediately got down. He was looking at him. He knew that they were coming for him because he told them to come for him. All right, so he could run this insurance scam. All right, well, let's go back. He says something like, you know, like she just said here. Okay, let me play this.
People dressed in black and holding wires and a thick gold chain around his neck. His sermon was being live streamed, and he opened with the line, quote, "How many of you have lost your faith because you saw somebody else die?" Only moments later, the live stream showed 3 people dressed in black and holding weapons entering the church and demanding everyone hand over their valuables. The group moved through the congregation and removed jewelry from Lamor's wife, who was sitting in the front row holding their young child. Another person held their weapon to Lamor's head while they pulled each ring from every little finger and then took the diamond chain around his neck. The thieves left just as quickly as they came. Lamor claims that they got away with more than $1 million worth of jewelry, including a Cuban chain-link chain valued at $399,000 and a Rolex watch worth $75,000.
Sorry for all these ads, y'all.
Was robbed at gunpoint in the middle of his Sunday sermon today, and it was all caught on camera. The service was being live streamed this morning when he says 3 to 4 men walked in with guns. He spoke at length with CBS 2's Lisa Rosner about why he believes he was targeted and his message for the suspects.
5 to 10 minutes into preaching Sunday morning on Remsen Avenue in Canarsie, Bishop Lamor Whitehead saw the door in the back of the room kick open.
How many of you have lost your faith?
Here we go. That's what I'm talking about. Look at what he says right before they come in, okay?
Faith because you saw somebody else die. What you about to go through.
This is what this guy said right before these guys come in. Now, if that does not sound like something that you would say, does that not sound like something that you would say? All right, Jeremy, listen to this. Like, to prepare people for this. The reason why I say is because if he was running this scam, which I believe that he was, okay, it's my opinion, I can have an opinion here, then he wouldn't want anybody in the congregation to act out of pocket or try to jump up or do anything to stop them, because they could get hurt. All right, because he needed this to happen. He needed, because it was being live streamed, and this was the evidence that he needed to present to the insurance company. Okay, so he needed everyone in the service to act their part, all right, even though he didn't know what was about to happen. So that's why I believe he says a phrase like that right before they come in here, okay?
Yep.
Let's do it again.
Saw the door in the back of the room kick open.
How many of you have lost your faith because you saw somebody else die? What you about to go through.
He literally says what you about to go through. But then on top of that fact, you think about, he also, and a lot of pastors, I'm not saying all pastors are bad because they're not, but a lot of pastors, too many I should say, they know how to speak with double and triple language. like he says, how many of you have lost your faith? The reason why I believe he's saying that is because he's trying to say, when these guys come in here, all right, have faith in God. Don't act crazy. Keep your faith in God. All right. And then he says, because you saw somebody, lose their life. What's the next thing he says?
Yo. All right.
Pick open.
How many of you have lost your faith because you saw somebody else die what you about to go through?
See what I'm saying? Now, who's the person that may supposedly die? Him. All right, in this situation, when they see him being held down.
Yo. All right. I seen 3 to 4 men come in. I said, all right. It's pretty much stating that I'm not going to do anything, right? Because I know y'all coming for me. Y'all coming straight to me. I don't want my parishioners hurt, right? I got women and children there. As I got down, one went to my wife.
My man just sitting here. Let's just kid play, yo. I'm sorry. I can't help but see that guy there. And he looking like this guy's scamming. He looking like this guy's scamming.
Took all her jewelry and had the gun in front of my 8-month-old baby's face. Took off.
He was so still. I thought that he was so still. I thought that I thought it was a freeze frame. Look at it. I thought it was a freeze frame. I see the shadow moving. I'm like, oh, they actually is. This dude's so still. I thought it was a freeze frame. Look at this.
As I got down, one went to my wife and took all her jewelry and had the gun in front of my 8-month-old baby's face. Took off my bishop's ring, my wedding band, and took off my bishop's chain, and then I had chains underneath my robe. And
I think that the reason why the guy was like that was because he heard what he just said, like me, and he probably knew that this guy had some scammy ways about him. And when he saw him say that, he immediately knew, oh, I see what he trying to do now. I know this is fake. He was just looking at him like, really, cuz.
And he started tapping my neck to see if anything else. So that means they knew. They watched and they knew that I have other jewelry.
The church's live stream shows the gun being held on the pastor.
They had the guns on my deacons that was at the door.
Whitehead says what you don't see on camera are around 100 congregants who were in the room. Men, women, and children dropped to the floor in silence.
My church is traumatized. The women and children are still crying. Still crying. Babies are still crying.
Police say the men took off in a white Mercedes. Whitehead says cops.
He said babies are still crying. They still in there like, man, they took $1 million worth of jewelry from him. Oh, they took all that jewelry from him. Oh my goodness. I shouldn't make light of this, y'all, but
cops have a license plate and witnesses saw the men change clothes outside.
These men, they need to turn themselves in. I forgive you, and I'm praying for you. And I hope that God deliver you from the mindset of who you are.
The video of the robbery quickly went viral online and brought a whole new level of attention to the crooked bishop.
Once I saw that, I immediately thought, once I saw that video, I immediately thought it was a scam. I ain't gonna lie, I've seen a lot of scams. I've talked about scammers on this page, on my YouTube page before. Once I saw it, I was like, nah, something just don't seem right about that.
Many people claimed that the theft was a setup by Lamor.
You see right here, he crying. He got tears in his eyes. All right, so I don't know what he crying about. This picture doesn't have any context. So I don't know what's going on in this situation here, but let's just continue.
More for media attention, or an insurance scam he ran to get a cash payout. The idea that Lamor was running another scheme was amplified when Lamor repeatedly reenacted the robbery during his live stream sermons for weeks after the event. He warned that other pastors were in danger and that they should always be armed when doing the Lord's work.
David Ogilvy, otherwise known as
followers and those watching online, quote, "The devil didn't want me back in this pulpit. God said you can't take his life. You can touch his material things, but you can't touch his soul. I'm a miracle. I'm not supposed." So if what I'm saying is right, and this man actually is scamming, which I believe for sure he is, all right, and he has a history, sad to say, of this. All right, once again, wish no harm on this guy. No bad happened to him, but he has to stop this stuff. And that means that
if I'm right about this, as many people have said, then that means that every time he's saying God, 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 and all this kind of stuff, he's just using God with no fear, just using God's name to push a lie. Brazenly, just to push a lie.
Supposed to be here today. Everybody wants to talk about what the tabloids are talking about and forget about the miracle. End quote. The rumors of a setup or an insurance scheme fell apart once officials confirmed the robbery was legit. Ultimately, 2 men were arrested and charged. At the time of this recording, the third...
That's the part that really get me, because I'm almost 100%... me personally, I feel like I'm 100% certain that was a scam. Okay? People got arrested. He didn't get arrested. All right? Which is even worse in my opinion, for sure. All right? And one guy, as we see in the beginning of this live, actually got killed. All right? It's just crazy, y'all. Really, really is crazy. And for all we know, I don't want to say nothing that we've not seen to be proved, but just other things that I suspect about this guy. But it's just crazy. I mean, think about these guys. And I saw that also. I'm not gonna go pull that report up, but I saw how they said, "Oh well, he's vindicated because they found out that the guys did this and do that." Of course they did, because they're working with him. Of course it really happened. Like, I don't understand why they're acting like, oh, this vindicates them because they caught the guys. They found out that they were trying to do this. Of course they were. All right.
Suspect is still at large. After being vindicated of the robbery, Lamor filed 2 $20 million lawsuits against critics on social media who had previously...
$20 million lawsuits. 2 of them against these critics. My goodness, y'all.
Claimed he was involved in the robbery. He later filed an additional suit, this time for $50 million against a radio DJ for similar comments. But the unintended consequence of that viral video was the spotlight that was put on the self-proclaimed Bling bishop. Even with the charges against the robbers filed, no one could understand how a supposed man of God could be so self-assured in his displays of wealth when the people he was preaching to were from struggling neighborhoods. Lamor fills his Instagram with
like that 50 Cent.
shots of his tailored design. Could understand how a supposed
That's Ray J.
man of God could be so self-assured in his displays of wealth when the people he was preaching to
it does look like 50
were
Cent.
from struggling neighborhoods.
I can't tell. It does look like him though.
Lamor fills his Instagram with shots of his tailored designer suits, his cars, and jewelry collection, which is far removed from his disadvantaged parishioners. Lamor remained in the spotlight after another sermon went off script in September 2022. While Lamor was at the pulpit, 2 women entered the church in the middle of his sermon. They were in the back, but Lamor called them out for interrupting, and one of the women began yelling back and walking towards the front of the church. Lamor can be seen in the live stream of the service grabbing the woman by the back of her head and pushing her off camera while he yelled, "Grab her, grab her." The police were called, and when they arrived, they handcuffed Lamor in front of the congregation. He was told he would be charged with assault. However, after being taken to the police station, it was the woman who faced arrest. The woman, Tarsha Howard, was later charged with trespassing and disrupting a religious service. She claimed that she was there to research a book she was writing about the role of the church in the Black community when Lamor called her a wannabe blogger who just wanted to bring him down. With the woman's arrest, Lamor was vindicated once again, and just like every time prior, he used the attention to further paint himself as the victim, not...
He's very good at with painting a picture. I'll definitely say that, okay? Though in that instance, well, let me continue playing this part, and then I'm going to give comments on this.
The villain in his life story. He told the media, quote, "They lock me up in front of my children, in front of my wife, in front of my church. They publicly embarrassed me and then dropped all the charges after 2 hours and apologized to me. All I want to do is preach the word of God, and I end up in prison," he said.
I thought they were going to say it. Now I want to hit him up with a $50 million lawsuit against the city. Let's see what happens. I don't think he's going to say that, though.
"They treated me like a criminal. They had me in a cell with someone with felony charges and let me out. It's not going to stop here. If I was a rabbi, if I was a Catholic priest, they would have never done this. End quote.
Confrontation during a Sunday sermon in Brooklyn landed 2 people behind bars, including a bishop who argues he was protecting his family.
CBS 2's Jenna D'Angelo spoke with both people involved and has the video from Canarsie.
We're going to pause right here.
During a live stream Sunday service at Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries, Bishop Lamor Miller Whitehead appears to get disrupted.
You want to come preach? You want to come preach? You want to come preach? Come on up here. Come on up here.
The bishop says it all started when 2 women came into the church.
Let's see if they show us. I don't know if they're going to show the whole thing. I'm going to explain what happened too from what I looked at and seen, but let's see if they show this.
Mid-sermon.
One of my ministers told them that you cannot record. You can't record. And they began to make a scene.
Police say when a woman was asked to stop recording and leave, she began to antagonize the bishop and approach him on stage.
They take pictures and they want to be on social media. Take the pictures.
As she walks past Bishop Whitehead, he appears to grab her from behind and they move off camera.
Seen her walk in front of me, going at my wife and my daughter, and I grabbed her.
He says he was worried about his family and thinking back to the moment in July when he...
This actually, I didn't think about it till now. I think I saw this. This actually brings even more validity to the theory which I have, which many people have, that the first situation with the church robbery was a scam. Because look how he says they were going to my wife and my daughter. This lady was not trying to attack his wife or his daughter, but he immediately uses them as a reason for why he grabbed her like that. Now, what they were doing, what these women were doing in his church was wrong. I'm not going to say that, because the thing is, at this point, Bishop Lamor Whitehead was definitely in the media. A lot of people knew about him. I knew about him at this time, and I don't go to church in New York, okay, or Brooklyn, but I know about this. I know about the guy, okay, and I don't live in New York. So this woman, basically what she said, I saw her on the show before. She was saying how, I saw her interviewed by somebody one time before, right? She was saying how she had a book she's trying to write, if I'm not mistaken, and she went to his church and she was trying to get information. But as you can see in the video, and this other one to show it, he was saying like they said that I think she was speaking in tongues or something like that. And he was saying, please sit down. And she got up and then he said, okay, do you want to come up? So he did invite her to come up, but he really wanted her to stop. And he was asking her to stop, but she wouldn't. Okay. She was causing a scene. And I think that she was trying to cause a scene, in my opinion, also. Okay. But whatever the case may be, even if he said, please stop causing a scene, you want to come up? At that point, just leave. Okay. Or just stop it. Because you're interrupting the service. All right. No matter what he's doing, at the end of the day, you shouldn't do that. But instead, she decided to come up, as you can see, and she's speaking over top of him, walking past him. Now, I believe at that point he got mad, and that's why he grabbed her neck and wanted to push her off screen. And his anger got the best of him. But the thing that gets me also is the fact that, so I'm saying in this instance, I don't think that he was in the wrong, at least when it comes to what she was doing. He shouldn't have grabbed her. That was wrong for grabbing her by the neck, okay, and like choking her, or at least the way he grabbed her. If he could have pushed her off the stage like that, or off from in front of the stage, and the camera's another way. He could have grabbed her, he could have pushed her, just pushed her away, but he grabbed her by the neck, okay? And that, of course, wasn't good. But he immediately says, oh, well, she was going towards my wife and my daughter. Let's see if it looked like she was trying to charge them. Let's look at the video here, because I don't think that's at all what she was trying to do. It doesn't even look like that.
And they began to make a scene.
Police say when a woman was asked to stop recording and leave, she began to antagonize the bishop and approach him on stage.
They take pictures and they want to be on social media. Take the pictures. Take the pictures.
As she walks past, grab her from behind and they move off camera.
Seen her walk.
Now, like I said, does this look like she's trying to charge somebody? No. He's standing right there looking at her, and then he grabs her neck. Let's see one more time.
The bishop and approach him on stage.
They take pictures and they want to be on social media. Take the pictures. Take the pictures.
As she walks past Bishop Whitehead, he appears to grab her from behind and they move off camera.
Seen her walk in front.
He could have easily just stood in front of her and said, "You're not going to go near." If that was really the case, that she was going towards his wife, if she's walking like this, saying something, pointing her finger, I highly doubt that she was trying to attack his wife or his child. He could have just stood in front of them, okay? Well, look what he says.
In front of me, going at my wife and my daughter, and I.
Okay, so again, he's just creating something there, creating a narrative, which I believe is the exact same thing he did the last time. All right, this lady acting out of hand, out of pocket, only helps him because a lot of people saw this and said, "Oh man, look what they doing to him now." Okay.
I grabbed her.
He says he was worried about his family and thinking back to the moment in July when he was robbed at gunpoint during a sermon streamed live online.
That's the only thing that I can remember. This lady had a bag under her arm and she was going after my wife.
The woman in the video, 47-year-old Tarsha Howard, was arrested and charged with trespassing.
You also got to remember that Bishop Whitehead, he has a lot of Instagram followers and people. I don't know this for certain because I don't follow him like that, but I believe people send him money. Okay, they actually are sending this guy money. All right, you have that many followers and that many people like you, and that many people are, leaving comments. I mean, think about it. On my small YouTube page, people send me money. Thank God, to help support the ministry. This guy, and I have what, 1,600 followers. This guy has over 1 million followers. All right, and unlike me, he dresses really, really nice with suits that cost, outfits that cost thousands of dollars. A lot of people like that. So that's going to be even more attractive than me just coming in front of you with regular clothes on. All right. He's got the most designer clothes. He's riding around in Rolls Royces. A lot of people like to see that. They like to see their pastor, decked out in the latest gear. Okay. For some reason. So many reasons why. So he's not a small fry, that's what I'm trying to say when it comes to this stuff, all right? So for him to try to keep up a certain image, I can understand why, because it's a lot riding when it comes to monetarily for him, okay? Though in my opinion, I believe that if he's wrong, he should just admit it, all right? Be a man. If you commit a crime or hurt somebody and rob somebody, like in the instance of that woman with the money that he said he would invest for her to get a house, and he didn't do that and just took her money, all right? What about them? What about the people that you harm,
Trespass and disrupting a religious service. She showed us her injury and made a brief statement.
I am telling you right now that I did not charge after his wife. It's on video and everyone can see that I was the one that was assaulted. And after this statement, he will hear from my attorney.
The bishop was also taken into custody, but shortly after released, now criticizing the NYPD's handling of the incident.
I was treated like a criminal, so I went from the pulpit to the cell for no reason. The New York Police Department failed me and failed my church.
The video and subsequent media coverage of Lamor reignited the question, where did he get all the money in the first place? When reporters picked up the story after the viral video of the robbery and the potential assault charges, they attempted to get a statement from Lamor. They tracked him down to a 9,000 square foot mansion in New Jersey, complete with 6 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms, plenty of room for his wife and 3 kids. But when they showed up, they found an eviction notice taped to the front door. It appeared that Lamor had defaulted on his mortgage as well as his car payments, and he had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of court judgments against him with no sign of the lawsuits ending. Remember the client who loaned Lamor $200,000, which he had borrowed against his own home? He filed a lawsuit against Lamor to get his money back. A court judgment ordered Lamor to repay the man a total of $261,000.
So he still didn't pay that guy back or the other woman, okay? So a lot of people that have not been paid back. And he just openly did this stuff, okay? He got the money. He's living in a mansion. They still have not received their money, okay? Imagine, if you've never done something like this, if you've never fallen prey to a scam like this, imagine, I'm sure some of you guys have had this happen to you before. Imagine how you feel when you don't get paid on time. There's been plenty of times I've been at work and we're expecting to get our check. And we're like, where are the checks? And they're like, oh, well, they're coming. we left working. We didn't get our checks. People was mad. Came in next day. We ain't even going to work. We was just sitting there like, and posted up like, what y'all want us to do? We ain't get paid yet. You understand? These people every single day for months and years, they're waiting to get paid from this guy. And they're seeing him balling out of control. Okay. And like this car right here, you can see you got the star ceiling. That's a Rolls Royce. Okay. And these cars are 300 plus $500,000 cars. Okay. He's riding around in a car worth more than most people's houses. Okay. With all kind of designer gear. He can do that, but he shouldn't be doing that with money that he stole from others. You know what I mean? You can live the way you want to live when it comes to fashion, and you know, if you can afford it, you could do that, but not with money that you stole from somebody. Okay.
There was also a lawsuit filed against him from the developers of a $1.6 million house he had defaulted on in New Jersey. It turns out Lamor had used his powers of persuasion to convince the developers that they should issue him a short-term loan of $126,000, and he would pay them back with a business check for $164,000. But the check bounced, and their efforts to collect the original loan amount were met with radio silence. So the developers filed a lawsuit in an effort to recoup some of the debt from Lamor. In that judgment, the developers were awarded $335,000. Then, in 2019, Lamor stopped making payments on his Mercedes-Benz and Range Rover. The company filed a lawsuit that ended with a $68,000 judgment against Lamor. And if that wasn't enough, in 2021, Lamor unsuccessfully ran for Brooklyn Borough President. He came last in the race with just 4,000 votes. But one of the staffers who worked for him on his campaign claimed that he had loaned $56,000 of his own money to Lamor, which has never been repaid. That staffer has since filed a lawsuit seeking repayment.
I was going to say, Lamor sent him a text that was like, look, all money you was giving to me, they were a campaign donation. Those was a donation. I have no understanding about you talking about it was a loan. That was a donation.
Payment of the money. At the time of this recording, all the amounts I just read that were ordered by a judge against Lamor remain outstanding. As for Lamor's narrative on his history, he has never really addressed the charges or allegations or lawsuits against him except through his lawyer, who just repeats that Lamor will be vigorously defending the allegations and that Lamor feels he is being targeted and turned into a villain from a victim. But if you read Lamor's bio on his church website, you'll hear an entirely different version of events than those corroborated by court documents. Lamor claims that the initial arrest for fraud was illegal. It wasn't. He claims that he was released from prison after 6 years because his conviction was overturned. It wasn't. And that the source of his income is real estate investing and pastoring. That remains questionable. Lamor also claims to have close relationships with prominent businessmen, lawyers, politicians, and judges whom he claims seek out his advice as well as his endorsement during their election processes. He also considers the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, a personal friend. Interestingly, the mayor has distanced himself from Lamor after being told about Lamor's checkered past, and when questioned by the media, called Lamor a previous mentee of his. In December of 2022, Lamor was released on a $500,000 bond while he awaits trial for the federal fraud charges brought against him. At the time of this recording, he cannot travel out of the tri-state area, but he does continue to preach, mainly virtually from the comfort of his mansion. He still has his designer suits and limited jewelry collection to keep him company, for now. His court date has been set for April 11th of 2023. There is one thing that upsets Lamor though. He claims that he should have received more media coverage for the robbery, stating, quote, "I represent that with Jesus, you can go through the storm. I think I should get the front page. You don't think I should get it? I think I was the face of the year." End quote.
Yeah, y'all. Let's go on to see. I did my research on this stuff, y'all. Let's see what video this is. I want to pull up a live that he had, but let's see what this is. Hold on, y'all. Let me close this up real quick. Let me see what's going on here. Hold on 1 second. I'll pull this live that he has here. One quick moment. Okay, here we go. All right. Now, what we're going to look at right here, y'all, we're going to look at this live that Bishop Lamor has put up. Okay. I'm going to stop and look at some of these comments too, so y'all can see what people are saying. All right. Now, I'm sure he does a lot of lies, but this is a lot. Now, let me say this first. Actually, let me pull this other news thing up first before I play this live. I want to show y'all why he's making this live. I think I deleted it out of my tab by accident. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, if you watch it live, let me know in the comments. Okay, let's see here. All right, this is from 2 days ago.
Register your domain.
All right, here we go, y'all. Let me pull this up here.
Call him the Bling Bishop, a preacher from Brooklyn who will soon be swapping in his designer suits for prison garb. Lamor Whitehead, convicted today on charges he defrauded a parishioner when she gave him $90,000 from her savings. The case also involved claims he tried to get a $500,000 loan in return for access to Mayor Adams. Whitehead previously found himself in the spotlight after thieves robbed him at gunpoint during a live-streamed sermon.
So they found him guilty, okay? So let's look at what Lamor said about all of this, okay? On his Instagram live, I believe.
And first, I would like to say this, right? I want to thank God.
Now, you see that lady comment? Okay, one person says, "This is sad." All right.
Right? I want to thank God for.
Next person says, "Why are you guys in here with the negative comments?"
All that he's done and all that he's doing. And
another person says, a woman says, "Don't let them break you." Somebody says, "Prayers, broski."
I want each and every one of you to understand, right, that we go through trials and tribulations in our life, right? And today, the jury convicted me in court. However, you know, I still believe God, right? And I know that there's so many people, and this is why I'm doing this live. There's so many people that care about me, and there's so many people that love me, and there's so many people that's been praying. There's so many people that's been praying for me, and I don't want you guys to give up, right? I don't want you guys to give up. I don't want you to think that God let us down. I don't want you to feel.
Now, he already said, "I don't want y'all to give up or feel like God let us down." Why? Because they didn't want him to get charged with a guilty verdict, and he got hit with 45 years, okay? Though he said he's going to appeal this, all right? Someone in the comments says, a young woman says, "Absolutely." All right. And then another person says, "Facts." And another person says, "Bishop, you'll be all right."
That, you know, God didn't hear our prayers, right? I want y'all to understand scripture.
Somebody says guilty or what? They don't even know what's going on.
Powerful men in the Bible had to go through some dangerous times, right? And this is a trying time for me and my.
What is he convicted of? I'm behind. See, but they're on Instagram Live and they follow him. Okay, he has 987 people in this live. He just started it. Okay, that's a lot of people.
My family, but you know,
I mean, I went live today. I started, and I think I may have showed you on my screen for a second. I may have 1 or 2 people watching. Okay, I don't have 1,000 people when I click go live. Okay, that's not easy to get.
No matter what the media is going to say, no matter what the social media is going to say, right? This bishop is still 10 toes down. And I want to thank God for my attorneys, right? Don Florio, Declan Murray, and Derek Dagwood. Man, they did an awesome job. They did a great job as best as possible. And I want to thank them for doing what they can do. Yes.
Somebody said, I was thinking you was going to come on live asking for forgiveness. Then somebody says, walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I fear no evil, for thou art with me.
We will be appealing. And, you know, we're going to do what we have to do. I have family, right? I have family. I have children. I have church members. And
somebody said, but being convicted doesn't really mean you going in for real, for real. Somebody, next person says, you're not going to jail. This next person says, turn your comments off.
I'm just asking you guys, right, to consider them. You know, I know y'all talking crazy and everybody's saying what they got to say, which cool, do what you got to do. But consider my family, right? Consider my family. Consider my children. My children was texting me because of what was going on social media. So consider my family. And
when somebody says, when you scam them people, did you consider your family?
Understand that, you know, we're human too, right? And I know, you know, this is what the world is. You know, we laugh at people's downfall. You know,
and now he has 1,122 people watch him on Instagram. Instagram is the hardest app of them all to get people to watch you live. I guarantee you that. So out of all the apps, it's the hardest one. And this guy he just came on live and he has 1,100 people watching him. So don't think, oh, he had a small influence. Oh, he had a big influence.
Laugh when people are down and out. But it's all good. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. You know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, right? Everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I just want y'all to know that, you know, Bishop Whitehead, I'm here. God is with me. God is in control. And I just want y'all to understand that my faith is not wavering. You know, my faith is not wavering. And
somebody said a 90-year-old woman lost her life savings. And then, but the next person says, count it all joy. Count it all joy. Okay, well, you steal from the widows and from those that are helpless, count it all joy. All right, that's not in the Bible. That part ain't in the Bible, but count all joy is, but it says when you go through trials and this and that. Not when you are robbing people and scamming folks and then you end up getting caught.
As long as my faith,
again, turn comments off.
Stay strong. I'm going to be all right. Hold on 1 second, y'all. I'm sorry.
Hey, attention, everyone.
So I just wanted to tap in. I'm not going to turn the comments off, y'all. That's too much. Let people talk. Let people say what they got to say. And, you know, when God shows up and when vindication hits, then, you know, that's what it is.
All right, let's go next to the end. Look at what he says here, y'all.
The ones that feel that they got the victory, no, you didn't get the victory. God is just still training me up.
Somebody said, amen. And then somebody got left prayer hands in the
something
chat.
That the world has never seen. That's all it is. I know that there's a lot of people out there that
amen, it's not over.
We're doing all type of things.
Prayers up for you, good brother. Only the strong will not only survive but thrive. Keep your head high.
To hurt me and hurt my family, but God is amazing, y'all, and I'm just trying to keep it tight and keep it right. And I'm not gonna save this life, but love y'all so much. Y'all stay focused. Y'all stay firm, and y'all be encouraged because I'm encouraged. All right, and everything gonna be all right. Everything gonna be all right. So love y'all so much. Deuces. Stay focused. Stay firm. Trust and believe.
Now, we know, as you've seen the evidence, that this man has been scamming folks. All right, he comes on here after he comes out of court. I didn't play the whole thing, but you can watch it if you want. This is Reality BTV. Reality BTV. Bishop Whitehead makes statement about his guilty verdict. Nowhere in this video does he say he's sorry that he scammed those folks, that he got that lady's money. None. You saw the text that we showed. Okay, he has not gone back on that, at least publicly. And because he's a public figure, the way he is, he actually should do it publicly. You may say, oh, maybe he did. You didn't know that. He should say it publicly. Okay, if you rob people of all this kind of money and scam them, you can't just say, oh, I'm gonna just hit them off on the back end somehow. You need to say, listen, what I did was wrong. I'm supposed to set an example for y'all, and what I've been doing is setting a bad example, okay? This is going to be the last video we're going to play tonight. This is Pam Esquire, the Law Intellect channel. I'm not going to play this whole video because this is a long video. This is like an hour and a half long, but this is a very good video. She explains how the case went with him being convicted a day or two ago. Okay, and I think she's reading some of the documents from the actual day in court.
And that $500,000 was received in his account. He got that money.
That's the money. Remember that I believe that well, actually, where the $500,000? That's something else. Let me go back a little bit. She's talking about, I don't even think that they even brought up before.
Because the same person applied for all of it. Then he said, and this is the same
because there's a lot of stuff that he did that we still didn't go over. Okay,
person that applied for the loan from FM Home Loans, from Beth Credit. This is not an identity theft. This is not some random church worker. This was the defendant. I was like, oh, okay, this is what we doing, sir. Then he said, then the Wells Fargo statements, they were found in his own email that was on his iPad.
All right. This is the prosecution.
Then he said those same Wells Fargo statements were used to get a loan from Beth Page, and that $500,000 was received in his account. He got that money. So how do you got the same statements that you using for these other accounts? You're using it for this account, and you actually had a $500,000 that we can see in your bank account. So then he went over all the elements. I said, oh, this is about to be okay. So he goes. So then the government, they said, we're going to go over the elements, okay? Because some of y'all, I know you guys were asking. So he said, he goes and the prosecutor has a box. So he says, in or about June 18th in the Southern District of New York or elsewhere, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, having devised and intending to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud and for obtaining money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises, transmitted and caused to be transmitted by means of wire, radio, and television communication, interstate and foreign commerce, writing, signs, signals. They didn't say all that. They kind of broke it down. They said tried to get a $250,000 business loan. Whitehead made material misrepresentations regarding the finances of anointing management services, which representations were conveyed and in turn relayed to potential lenders through interstate wires and otherwise. So then he goes through and he says, Scheme to defraud to obtain money. Check that box. So then they had like this automated thing with the box next to it. They had the check mark. He said, check that mark. Sorry, okay. So then
because she actually went to this case. That's why she was actually there. She sat in for it.
Said participated knowingly. And they were like, we know it was knowingly because he doctored up the bank statements. And he was like, that's not the product of any type of thief or whatever. He said, in fact, he repeatedly did this. So we know he knew what he was doing. So ladies and gentlemen of the jury, check that box. So then the box got checked. So then he said, user calls others in interstate wire. He said the Fundora was received in an email in Manhattan and transferred to Pennsylvania. So that is another state. Defendant is guilty of count 5. You, ladies and gentlemen, can check that box. And that box was checked.
Those 5 counts that he was, I believe, convicted on. All right. It didn't take long for them to convict him. I think it took them maybe like an hour. They left and then they came back with a verdict like that.
Hey, let's go to count 1. Let's talk about Pauline Anderson. He used lies to convince Pauline Anderson to give him money from her retirement account. Defendant helped Rashid buy the house. He bought it. Like he helped him every step of the way. We went through all of that with Rashid's testimony. Anderson signed Rashid's mortgage with the help of defendant. So they put up the text on the screen of how Whitehead was the one that convinced Pauline Anderson to sign on for Rashid to get his house. Said after Rashid got his house, then his mom, Miss Anderson, wanted a house. So then he said, defendant was on the phone when it was a 3-way conversation when defendant was on the phone with her retirement fund company with Rashid Anderson. And Pauline testified.
Right, I think they're talking about, you remember the son and the mom who he got the $90K from. Okay. See, that's the thing that gets me too, is like, he really was in the real estate field. He really is. It's like, it's not like he's just a complete fraud and then he is doing nothing but scamming. He actually has a way of making income. And it's just like he just, would rather scheme and do this stuff on the side or as his main thing. I don't understand. It's just really, really stupid. You know what I mean? And it's hurting folks,
That she only want to take $50,000 out as a down payment for a house, but Whitehead said, "No, you should take $100,000." And they said he said it for his own benefit. Defendant claimed when he was on the witness stand that he never talked to her, but we knew that was a lie because we looked at phone records, and the phone records show when there were 3-way calls. He said when Anderson learned that she couldn't get a mortgage, Whitehead said, I can help you. Defendant said on the stand. So like when Whitehead was on the stand, he said he never told Pauline Anderson that he would help her get a house. The government said, that's a lie. It's a lie because we see text messages where Anderson said, buy a house. And then they highlighted it where Anderson in the text messages was talking about buying a house and said the defendant doesn't come back and deny it and say, what you talking about? Well, right. I don't know nothing about a house. He didn't come back and say nothing about it. Right. That's because he knew that that's what the purpose of the money from. Then he says, defendant.
And you can see that it's a shame that people still believe in this guy is not trying to scam folks. You can see, for example, that Bishop Whitehead knew that it could come to this. That's why, for example, in those texts that we read earlier, he was like, you are trying to frame me in a crime. You are trying to say that I committed a crime that I did not commit. He knew that this stuff would be in court. Okay. That type of person, I'm telling you, should stay far away from.
Claims that Rashid is the one that defrauded his own mother. But that's not true. the evidence, he said, you have to look at the evidence. See, Whitehead gets on the stand and he ain't had nothing to back up anything that he said. He just made these statements and you were supposed to believe it. But he said every single thing that Rashid and Miss Anderson said, they had something to back it up. And I told y'all that. They had text messages, they had emails, they have phone records, they had a cell tower.
See what all it is with this, the son and the mother. Bishop Whitehead should have been like, look, we need to settle this out of court, which is what the Bible says we should do. Why are y'all brought in front of unbelievers, okay, to be judged? Because y'all can't handle stuff on your own. He knew that what he did. He knew what he did. But he thought he could just slide by and get away with it, okay? And it's crazy because he could have ended up, you know, in a serious situation if he did it with the wrong person. All jokes aside, okay, really. Did it to somebody's mom, and a lot of guys' moms, and you could be, you know, talking to God, you know, physically talking to God. So he really is skating on the nice stuff that he's doing.
Howard Marshall, who was on there talking about where they were at different times. I mean, they backed up almost every aspect of their testimony. When Whitehead got on the stand, he was just like saying stuff, you know, and we'll get into that, but he was just saying stuff. He said, you keep saying that it was Rashid, but the defendant is the one who took the check from Miss Anderson. The defendant is the one who endorsed the back of that money order from Miss Anderson. Defendant is the one that got the money, and defendant is the one that spent the money.
Right.
But what he didn't do, let's talk about what he didn't do, because we talked about what he did do. What he didn't do is buy her a house.
Right.
We know.
Now let's skip ahead. This is a long video. Let's skip ahead, y'all. I think now they're gonna be having the defense talking at this point. Let me see.
Then he said Lamor Whitehead makes sense. The government said Lamor Whitehead always has an excuse for everything. He has an excuse. You know why he has an excuse? But ladies and gentlemen, because he's not guilty.
That's his defense.
That's why he has an excuse. He was clear on that stand about what he did or did not remember. It's been a lot of testimony in this case. He does not have perfect recollection of everyone's testimony. I submit there might have been a little bit of bragging or marketing about Eric Adams, but it wasn't a false statement. Then
she goes into a lot of stuff regarding Mayor Eric Adams. I would have just clicked to it, but this is a long video and I can't remember where it is, but I did watch that part where she explains how he was trying to basically sell, based on what they're alleging, he was trying to sell access to the mayor, okay? And let me see if I can, might be able to find this here. I doubt it though. Let me click through it. Let me see if maybe I can pull it up real quick. Hold on.
They didn't even respond to you. So then the government says, this kind of hurt my feelings too. I felt bad. I was looking.
Okay, this is the part where he's talking about it. Watch this. Hold on, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Because basically he was trying to contact him. See, what happened was, remember that guy who they mentioned, who they said that he had he tried to, what did they say? I think he said something like he got him for $5,000, right? He got this one guy for $5,000, right? And then he tried to like extort him somehow or trick him, do something to get $500,000 from the guy. Okay. Now when it came to $500,000, they said that he tried to say that he could get this guy access to Mayor Eric Adams, okay, the mayor of New York City. All right. So he said that without having the ability to actually do that, okay, without being assured he could do that. All right. But he did try to contact Mayor Adams. All right. So they're going to talk about that conversation. Let me go back a little bit. Hopefully, because that actually is kind of long, but I'm trying to get some of it so you can see what I'm talking about here.
The government is like, summarizing it, where he's basically saying people all get in touch with you. Everybody get you but me. You do things for other people, but you want to do.
Hold on, my fault.
He could have easily endorsed you, but he chose that he didn't even want to endorse you.
Okay, here we go. Let's start right here.
Saying yes, they had a personal relationship like that, but when it came to business, basically Eric Adams was not studying him like that. Said Eric Adams wasn't willing to do so he showed. So then the government puts up the flyer of when Whitehead was trying to run for Brooklyn Borough president. So it's Whitehead. Now Whitehead made this flyer himself. It was Whitehead and it was Adams on the flyer. So he sent it to Mayor Adams, and Adams basically told him, take me up off of that. I'm not endorsing you. I don't know if he was endorsing anybody at the time, but he definitely told him, I'm not endorsing you. Take that down. It's misleading. I'm not endorsing you, so take that down. So basically the government said it's not even unlawful for somebody to endorse you. But the mayor not studying you like that he don't even want to do nothing lawful to help you out. It's like, ouch. He could have easily endorsed you, but he chose that he didn't even want to endorse you, and he could lawfully do that. So we all know he wasn't doing nothing unlawful to help you. He said, then they put up the text where he said, brother, I am not endorsing you in the Brooklyn Borough president race.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he wanted him to help him, and he wanted the mayor to endorse him also because he was running for office also. Bishop Whitehead was.
Then they put up the February 16, 2022 text where Whitehead said, I've been calling you for months, but basically I couldn't get in touch with you, and I'm trying to get a meeting with you. So then the government is like summarizing it, where he's basically saying people all get in touch with you. Everybody get you but me. You do things for other people, but you want to do it for me. He said, I'm fine though. I'm a big boy. I don't need you like that. It's all good. Why he whining through this whole text message? And then Eric Adams didn't respond at all to that. So then you didn't hear any contact at all from Eric Adams for like weeks. So then on May 5th of 22, he said, good morning, E. Need to talk to you. What time can we speak? So then the government says, how does he respond? You guys guessed it. Put it in the chat.
How does Mayor Eric Adams respond to that message?
He doesn't. And that's exactly what the government said. He doesn't.
Because he did have his number, it seems like.
So then they say on May 14, 2022, it was a text message where Whitehead sent to Belmonte pretending that he had a meeting scheduled with Eric Adams already, right? But then the government...
Belmonte, I think that's the guy who, he was trying to get for that $500,000.
Man, they had another text message where 2 days later, he was texting Eric Adams' scheduler asking for a meeting, asking, can we meet, to his scheduler, Miranda. Then they said, how did Miranda respond? She didn't. So with Belmonte, you told him you had this meeting already, but of course, with this meeting, you can't even do the meeting allegedly until you own the property. But in theory, you didn't even have a meeting because they got the text message when you was trying to schedule the meeting. They didn't even respond to you. So then the government says, this kind of hurt my feelings too. I felt bad. I was looking like, dang, this is kind of bad. A little tear almost trickled down my eye. He said, defendant couldn't get endorsements from Mayor Adams. He couldn't get VIP tickets from Mayor Adams. He couldn't even get Mayor Adams to come to his birthday party. So we know he lied to Belmonte about what he can do to get properties to help him. He listed all the things. He said he wouldn't even come to your birthday party. I was like, dang, that's kind of sad. That's not sad there.
Would you expect him to come to?
No.
Let's go to the end now and see what they say here at the end of the verdict. See what the verdict is, all kind of stuff.
Let me go find it. has 14 days because you go to pre-trial. It does not matter if the defendant thinks that Pauline was careless, gullible, or negligent. He agreed because he was trying to scam her. He never planned on getting her a house. See, she goes on to Belmonte. He said, a 45-year-old man threatened Belmonte with guns and shots, said, I will hurt you. That was not a person getting frustrated. That was threats of violence. You cannot use threats. It is against the law, even if you think a person deserves it. Okay. He said, and then let's talk about the FBI. First, he told the FBI was his daughter's phone. Then we heard it was his company's phone. And then when he was on the stand, it was the family lie. It was the family line. It's all a lie. It doesn't matter why he lied. The point is he lied. He lied to a federal agent. Defendant wants you to blame everyone else but him. In order to believe him, though, you have to believe he has got to be the most unluckiest person in the world. If he didn't commit this crime, this is some bad luck. He would have to be so unlucky that all the witnesses must have come together to frame him. Everyone decided to perjure themselves. Now you're talking about some mystery church member or person defrauded you. Now you got identity theft. Instead of keeping the money like you were supposed to do with Pauline Anderson, this fraudster made sure all the money went to, he said, basically she was saying that you blaming all these different people, but instead of them keeping it for themselves, whoever this fraudster is that took your identity, they decided to do all this stuff and then give you the money and put it in your account. So whoever took your identity, they said, but you know what? We like you like that. We're not going to keep it for ourselves. We're going to use your identity and then give you the money that we took using your identity.
Well, of course, he was saying that he wasn't carnivals. He was con himself.
So then she said, all the text messages coincide with Pauline Anderson and Rashid's testimony. Defendant is so unlucky. He happened to go on a shopping spree after cashing Pauline Anderson's check. Excuse after excuse, lie after lie, con after con. Mm-hmm. That's what the lady said. There is overwhelming proof. Defendant isn't unlucky. He is just a man. And the truth is the defendant is guilty. He lied over and over. Defendant thought he could fool person after person. And he thinks he's above the law and thought he could come in this courtroom and he could fool you too. Mm-hmm. The only fair and just burden is to find the defendant, Lamor Whitehead, guilty. And that is the end of the rebuttal. And then at around 2:45-ish, the jury went out to deliberate. And so we sat there and we sat there and we sat there, right? So then they were supposed to go till 5 o'clock. So then right before 5 o'clock, they said they went back there to check them and they said they wanted to go till 6 o'clock. So then at about 5:48, they get a note where they ask, can they stay for an additional hour? Now, this was literally at like 4:58. By 6:01, they had a verdict.
Okay, so it wasn't an hour, like I said. It was about a couple hours. Okay, still in the same day though.
Count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty. Count 3, guilty. Count 4, guilty. Count 5, guilty. So he has 14 days because you go to pre-trial services. I can't even talk. See, I know I'm tired. You go to pre-trial services after 14 days, and they put what's called a pre-sentencing report, like they do all your background. You go there with your attorney, get all your background. The judge was like, I need you to make sure that you give honest and accurate information when you go, because that helps me on making my decision, because she has to sentence him.
We're going to stop this right here, y'all. You can look into this for yourself. All that she's saying, even more so. Pam Esquire, The Law and Elect. Did a very good job explaining this. And she actually went, okay, to his hearing. So that was good. Yeah, y'all. So if you want to talk, if you want to say something about this before we get up on out of there, call the number 267-603-6074, or let me know in the comments. Okay. This is a crazy situation here, y'all. And the thing is, like I said, people will look at him and say, oh, see, all pastors are like this. All Christians are like this. It's all a con. It's all a scam. Many times when I've preached on the streets, I've heard people say that, you know, it's a scam. It's just, no, it's not a scam. But there are people that use the word of God to scam, for sure. Even in the Bible, there are people who try to do that, who came against and brought conflict, okay, with the real apostles, okay. And then again, the Bible also warns against people coming in the future like this, okay. People see Bishop Whitehead. I've heard people say, well, you see a pastor with a big old gold chain like a rapper. Why on earth would you go to that church? But a lot of people like that. A lot of people are attracted to that. You'd be surprised, okay. A big old gold cross on his neck, okay. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars. Some people really like that type of stuff. But yeah, I wanted to play this to show to you guys some of the things that are going on in our church today. All right. And how I actually thought that when this guy had that situation with his church being supposedly robbed, I thought that, and I saw a lot of people were saying this is obviously a scam. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought that he would kind of dial down and just try to stay out of the spotlight. But instead, you know, he has not said he was sorry, at least publicly, regarding things that he's been doing. And even now, as you guys have seen through that live that he had, he's still come out to say, listen, I'm going to stay 10 toes down, and we going to, you know, and people are like, yeah, God got you. God got you. Now, if he appeals and he loses the appeal and he gets locked up, it's as if in his mind, he'll still say, listen, I'm innocent. And he come out and try to do the exact same thing again. All right. And I think that if he tries to do the same thing, he will be successful for a time again. The Bible says that God, when the Lord comes, the devil will be locked up for 1,000 years and then be released, and more people will be deceived by him. And you would think, how could he be deceived by him? After now, you can literally see Christ on the earth. All right. And after all of that, people will still be deceived by the devil. Yes, they will. Just like Bishop Whitehead was locked up, came out. He was locked up for 6 years, came out, did this stuff again. All right. And if he gets locked up this time, which it seems like he will, if he gets out, he'll do the same thing. Hopefully he does it. But it seems like his plan is to do the same thing again. Okay. Prayerfully he does not. All right. I pray even now, God, in the name of Jesus, that this guy will see the light and turn around and confess what he's done. All right. And try to make this right in Jesus' name, man. All right, you guys. I'm not going to run any ads today like usual. Y'all want to support? You see the information on the screen below. Follow me. All right. On other social medias. Information is right there. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's your boy, Brother Winston. Back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. Before we get up on out of here, if you watched this entire broadcast, I want to give you a special hand. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, y'all. All right. We out until next time. We'll get out of here on Facebook, because I gotta do this one at a time. Until next time on Facebook, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you tuning in, Jeremy, and whoever else is watching on Facebook. Peace. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, appreciate you guys and thank you so much. I pray God bless you and keep you. Let His face shine upon you and grant you and your families peace. All right. And I said, hopefully, pray for this guy will stop this stuff and do what's right. All right. We'll see. Time will tell. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.